have Michael Ewing from Vertalis and David Myers from HTC, who are going to be doing the webinar today. Just before we start the webinar, and I hand it over to Michael Ewing, all the slides and the recording straight after the webinar will be sent to every individual. And also throughout the webinar, you can ask questions throughout. I'll moderate today, and we can pick up some of the questions towards the end. We will have some poll questions throughout the webinar just to make it a bit more interactive. So yeah, just hope you enjoy the webinar. To you, Michael.
All right, thank you, Ketan. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining another Vertalis public webinar. We'll be hosting a number of these webinars as we move forward into 2020 and beyond, where we'll be sharing information and updates regarding things like, industry projections for the virtual reality market and beyond. We'll also talk with you in these sessions about, new software enhancements and upgrades from Vertalis, as well as some next level hardware innovations that you can look forward to. Before we get started today, just want to kind of address the current climate around, COVID-19 and the world events going on. Just wanted to say, we hope that you, your colleagues, and your loved ones are all safe and well during these very strange times. Today we have a really exciting webinar to share with you. Vertalis and HTC have partnered together to develop a one-of-a-kind head-mounted display solution that's specifically designed to function inside of a classified or secure environment. Again, just to highlight Ketan's point, please be advised we will be doing a few polls throughout the webinar today. So if you could help us in providing your candid input to those questions, that would be very much appreciated. As an introduction to myself, my name is Michael Ewing. I'm the account executive responsible for Vertalis's North American operations. I've been with Vertalis for a little over 5 years now, really focusing heavily inside of the the aerospace and defense industry. Department of Defense. I've worked with numerous shipbuilding organizations, as well as many different other accounts inside of the government sector. Today, I'm joined by David Myers. David Myers is the Director of Enterprise Technical Services at HTC. David will be speaking with you further about the Secure Vive Pro, what it is, how it works, and the value it will bring to your operations from more of a technical perspective. And I wanted to just take this time just to say thank you to David for working with us over these last few weeks and months to, number one, develop that new product, but also to help us in preparing for this webinar here as well. So just thank you, David. Really appreciate your time and focus on working with us. All right, so today our goal for the webinar will really just to bring you up to speed on some of the current projections of the virtual reality market. How that translates specifically to you, right, inside aerospace and defense, DoD, the government sector and beyond. Next, we'll address some of the challenges of these secure environments and really where virtual reality can be applied to overcome some of those challenges. And then I'll introduce David Myers, right, into the discussion. He's going to then talk you through the Secure Vive Pro, what it is, how it works. And then we'll end the webinar with just a brief overview on Vertalis, who we are, what we do. We'll answer some of your questions, and then we'll share with you some proposed next steps to move forward. All right. With that said, actually, we're going to start today with our first poll. Ketan's going to go ahead and make that poll go live now. And the question we're asking is, are you using virtual reality as a solution inside your organization today? And we'll just give you 15 seconds just to provide your answers to that question. We'll start that timer now. Okay, wonderful. Okay, thank you. Ketan, it looks like we've got some pretty promising results there. Looks like 100% of our attendees here today are utilizing virtual reality as a solution inside your organization, and that's wonderful. And I think that gives us a lot of insight into just around this chart here that tells us it's growing, right? If I go back into 2015, really when I started here, this virtual reality market was just really starting to grow. I mean, it had started way before I had entered this industry, but it really took off around 2015. Back then, 2015, we were looking at products like the Vive pre-dev kit was just coming out of development and into a finished product. Google was releasing this Google Cardboard, which is a device you put your phone into, right? everybody was building their predictions around VR and trying to really understand how expansive is this technology going to be, right, in the next 5, 10, 15 years, right? So if we look at 2018, just 3 years after, right, we're seeing the market has more than tripled, right, to $7.3 billion. Today in 2020, right, we're seeing now that figure has nearly almost tripled again to almost $21 billion. And then looking out to 2026, we're seeing that it's projected to reach $120.5 billion as an industry, which is just really compelling, right? And I think it's a clear indicator that virtual reality isn't stagnant, right? It's growing, right? And it's going to continue to grow exponentially as we continue to drive forward new solutions and new technologies in the future, right? But how does this really translate to virtual reality users inside of aerospace and defense and the government sector? Let's dig a little deeper into that. So if we look at a report from Fortune Business Insights, you'll see there's 3 major applications where VR plays a significant role. The first is really focused around training, right? We found that over 30% of these users use VR for training, and that's broken down into many different variations, from maintenance training to assembly training to even operator training or operator simulations and beyond. It's the #1 use case across the board. Over 20% of the users apply virtual reality to support design and manufacturing initiatives, right? These are things like design for engineering, design for maintenance, design for installation, right? And manufacturing and assembly. Right? It's a critical component to reducing risk and really identifying design flaws before any type of physical prototype would ever be built. Lastly, this item here I found very interesting was that 18% of the users are applying virtual reality as a real-time monitoring tool on existing systems, and used also as a maintenance assistance tool, right? And in this space, they're utilizing those technologies to identify and view performance outputs, right? But it's also used, across maintenance teams during these operations or before you send these teams out to go do their work. They're going inside of this virtual environment and practicing. If we take it back a step and say, how do we monitor our physical assets out in the field, right? And this is where Vertalis does a good job, is we're able to take your physical assets and create a virtual representation of those assets, tie in all different types of data from external programs and bring it into that singular environment. So then we could have essentially a digital twin that's fully live and updated in real time for you to go and visit anywhere, right? No matter where that location is around the world, to go and experience what's going on. I think a more interesting question is just geared around what are really the benefits that are coming out of these use cases, right? And from the research conducted by Fortune Business Insights, 49% of these users in aerospace, defense, and government, found that providing information in real time delivered the most value, while that same percentage of users, again 49%, solidified that facility training and real life simulations held the most value, right? Other benefits like enhanced creativity and product design and development attributed to 48% of the benefits derived from VR. And lastly, 47% said that virtual reality enabled remote workforces to collaborate in real time, right? That last item on remote workforce collaboration I found was really interesting. And if I look back at some of our customers across kind of more of the commercial side of these industries, they're utilizing virtual reality as a wonderful tool to collaborate and connect their teams, not just internally, but externally with suppliers, manufacturers, right, trainers, and bringing them into the operation so we have a better and clearer understanding as to the value that comes from that workflow. But the challenge derives from what we do inside of these classified environments, right? We understand that the core objective is defending and protecting our national security, but these classified environments often have very stringent governmental regulations on what type of hardware can go in, right? There's things like, the limitations around Bluetooth and radio frequency and cameras, all these things that, really prohibit our ability to embrace, new modern technologies. And what we've identified is that there's an immediate need, as we're calling it, the need for speed, that's really identified as how can we develop technologies faster than our adversaries to make sure that our national security is not at risk, right? We understand that these classified environments just naturally, allow you to only have, slower or lesser form decision-making processes, right? Ultimately, having longer product development time cycles. We're spending more time consuming physical prototypes as opposed to having virtual prototypes that we're building every day. There's a risk in launch and delivery delays, as well as utilizing physical tools and materials. So it really is kind of a challenge, right? To take some of the value that we know we can utilize virtual reality for in unclassified environments, how can we take and extract that value that we've already identified and apply it to these classified or secure environments? So let's dig a little bit deeper here. So what's the solution, right? From our perspective, we know that there's inherent challenges across classified usage of virtual reality, just from the prohibiting of hardware that you can bring in. But we have to be able to connect our teams more effectively and accelerate our ability to design technologies faster than our adversaries, right? And to do that, we're saying the value of visualization means that we're increasing customer satisfaction, right? We're incorporating them into the process all the way through. We're reducing risk by having better predictability on our designs, or better predictability on how we're going to assemble components, right, before that happens. And we're also reducing the cost of operations. If we can reduce or eliminate one physical prototype, what kind of value does that bring? And then lastly here, just the speed at which you're going to achieve by connecting more teams into your digital thread allows you to quickly get from data to action much faster. Very good. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Dave Myers. It's interesting, you know, every once in a while, you know, a new technology and an old problem lead to a big idea turn into innovation, right? And so I think as a testament to that, you know, David Myers is going to share with you all about the new Vive Secure HMD from HTC. And with that said, I'm just going to go ahead and have David introduce himself, and we'll carry on that way. So David.
Excellent, Michael. Thank you very much. And thank you to Vertalis for setting this up and making this happen, and also to all the attendees for joining today. My name is David Myers. I'm the Director of Enterprise Technical Services with the HTC Vive team. I have a lengthy mobile background, but it was my first VR demo that kind of transformed my career and got me hooked on what this is in regards to a transformative technology. That allows something as complicated as a helicopter to be designed, as significant as speeding up cancer treatments, or something that's just simply fun, like playing poker and collaborating with friends on something that's not work related. So it's been a really exciting experience to be a part of this early stages of VR and contributing to its growth. Next slide, please. So with the HTC business team, we continue to work with hardware partners, developers, whether it's location-based entertainment or serious enterprise DoD teams, research groups, to find opportunities within VR. So we're listening to the market, identifying problems and opportunities. In a lot of those cases, we enable various partners to pull together existing hardware and solutions to make something that solves an issue at hand. Similar to the image you're seeing here with Flame Trainer, we have the existing Vive Pro eye hardware, the Vive tracker, and they can combine all of that to create something that allows very safe, comprehensive fire training. There are other solutions where it's a problem we're solving, but requires a little bit more effort. And that's what we're here to talk about today. And that is the Vive Pro Secure. Next slide, please. So consistent requests from the field indicated that VR for classified use was certainly a problem we're solving. There were benefits in the collaboration, shortened design cycles, limited development cost, savings, all sorts of things that come with VR that classified groups were sidelined. They saw the benefits, they wanted to use it, but security limitations prevented it from even being an option. So, well, sorry, I can step that back. Making a cost-effective, reasonable option. There were certainly other teams that would allow Vive hardware to come in. They could pay significant fees to have it modified, but that came with questionable performance. You would lose your warranty, and then you would lose a number of things. Just the intellectual property that Vive as the OEM understands about the product and can make those modifications safely. So we took those steps to build out that hardware, but also to add on everything else that comes along with the certification needs of these classified environments. So hardware, software, and also documentation. Next slide, please. So as you can see in this chart, it outlines everything that's currently in the Vive hardware, how everything was removed, what impact that has on removal. And what we've done is, with these changes, identified ways that you minimize the impact to the loss of those features. So anything that can collect information, whether it's a camera or a microphone, or broadcast through the wireless adapters in the controllers or the HMDs, have all been physically severed and removed. But we left the USB-C port that allows different organizations with different security needs and requirements to then re-add those elements if needed. So if you need a microphone in your environment, you have the ability to connect one. Or if you need a camera, you still have the ability to connect one that can be approved by your various security agencies. Along with the hardware, we received a lot of requests for letter volatility to understand how the memory in each component is used, how it's cleared, to have that level of detail for certain security certifying agencies that need it, along with the benefit of the manufacturing of HTC equipment being in Taiwan, making this equipment TAA compliant, which we've learned is a requirement for a lot of other folks. So that's the hardware piece and everything that's been done to allow that portion of it to receive authority to operate in classified environments. But on to the next slide, we cover the companion piece that goes with that hardware, which is the offline version of SteamVR. So it includes only the core components of SteamVR necessary to run the Vive HMD. So there's no sign-in, there's no Steam client, there's no firewall issues, no port openings that have to occur. One of the most critical items is no updates. For anyone who's used SteamVR in the past, the worst day you can have is when you have that demo and all of a sudden Steam performs an update and it throws everything offline. They've made changes to the way SteamVR operates, whether it's inputs, bindings, any number of different things that can throw you off. So this removes that. Requires no internet connection, and in the event there is an internet connection, it's not going to call home or reach out or do anything with that connection. Another benefit is the production versions of this offline tool are in a library, so you have the ability to roll back, move forward, stay on a version. You have complete access to all those different varying versions for troubleshooting or just to have your own level of version control internally. Now, one thing that has still been a challenge for us is, and I'm sure all you're aware, there is no governing security body that determines what means a product is cleared for authority to operate in a classified space. Every organization has their own criteria, their own test process. So with the feedback we've received, the modifications we've done to the hardware, the documentation we provided, we feel relatively confident we have this covered, but understanding there could be other information out there that will be valuable. Next, we have a poll, and we'd like to understand what is required for hardware to enter your specific secure environment. We'd like to understand that, does this checklist cover the areas that are top of mind when something needs to be approved to go in your lab? And if not, we'd certainly love to hear more about either the documentation, hardware requirements, or software requirements that would make a product like this something that could sail through your approval processes. And with that, I'll pass it back to Michael with Vertalis.
Wonderful. Very good. Okay, so just to transition here, we just wanted to take a moment just to talk you through a little bit about who we are, right? I'm sure everybody knows who, the HTC Vive company is and what they do. But just to kind of start at a top level perspective, Vertalis is a virtual reality and advanced visualization company. We've been in the industry for over 25 years, supporting and serving our customers and driving successful solutions into their operations. And really, I think the best way to consolidate the message is that Vertalis is a turnkey VR solution provider. That means that we're providing all of the immersive hardware for your 3D stereoscopic views, right? We have an easy-to-use software solution, one that we call Visionary Render. It's very powerful and allows you to create, edit, manage your own virtual environments for whatever purpose. We have a team I give a lot of kudos to. It's our systems team. They design, set up, install, maintain, and support all of the more complex projection-based systems that we develop and provide as well. We also do professional services. So if you have an immediate need for building a maintenance training environment or building a 3D simulation or even building a fully customized virtual reality system, We are the experts in the field in supporting that. We've a long track record that shows our success in those spaces. We have numerous customers around the world, customers like BAE Systems, Raytheon, Lam Research, and so forth, who are working with us and working alongside us to continue to develop new technologies inside of many different industries. You know, and Visionary Render is an incredibly powerful technology, right? It enables you to seamlessly integrate with all of your industry standards. So that means bringing in multiple different data sources from, you know, maybe you're using Creo or Windchill, or you're utilizing something off-site. You need to integrate in your virtual environment. Visionary Render allows you to quickly bring in that data, consolidate it in one singular virtual environment. And then once it's in there, right, you're getting to work, right? Customizing the content, creating your own experience based off of, you know, the use case or the meeting or the event that you have coming up, so that it fits that conversation. And once that's done, then you really start to engage, right? That means bringing different people from different backgrounds into this environment to meet virtually and to collaborate virtually to really understand the problem you're trying to solve, right? And being able to then, of course, scale that and deploy that is very important. You might need to collaborate with suppliers or manufacturers or other teams. Having that ability is very powerful, and it's a part of our solution today. And as you move forward and you're moving this into your processes and your workflows, we're measuring every action, right? We're taking the input and the dialogue that we've collected from these individual collaborative sessions. We're able to extract that from those discussions and be able to, you know, then take action from those events. Cool. All right, so just kind of want to give you all a little bit of a sneak peek into a new platform that Vertalis is developing. It's a platform that we call Vertalis Reach. It's for, you know, enterprise-wide collaboration, utilizes a cloud-based server. However, I think it's important to know, and I know that word cloud will probably you know, scare many of you a little bit. It's not our cloud service. It's it's a server that would be hosted and owned by you, managed by your internal IT and security team, so that it is able to continue to be, you know, ITAR compliant, and be able to function in those spaces as you have full control over that new platform. Now, as we talk about, you know, MCAD, PLM systems, BIMs, and point clouds, you're able to bring that data into Visionary Render, right? And integrate that and automate that into your process to say, if I'm going to make a change inside of my PLM or CAD system, that change is going to be replicated into your virtual scene. Because it's an enterprise tool, right? It creates a library of assets inside that cloud that you can easily share with your teams. So as you're utilizing Visionary Render to create those experiences, you're utilizing then Reach to connect into teams that might need to use a mobile device or a tablet, where they might have the secure Vive Pro or other visualization systems in place that you can then connect with those teams, bring them into the session, and make sure that they really understand the message that you're trying to convey for that discussion. You know, being able to do that means that you're having rapid development while you're doing design reviews. You're getting to the core of the problems as you're doing maintenance reviews, or you're having a promotional event, or you're doing a training event. Bringing this across your organization with the ability to just have a significant reach brings a whole lot of value that you might already understand from your current utilization of your virtual reality assets. How's it really used, right? So we've mentioned a few things just to kind of really dig into the core pillars that we've proven as successful use cases. Is number one, right? Virtual reality as a collaborative tool for doing design reviews. So that might be bringing in all of your different CAD models, reviewing all of the form, the fit, and the function, making sure that it all looks right, right? You're instead of utilizing physical prototypes, right? Maybe you're reducing or eliminating as many of those as possible through building virtual prototypes. We know that in between the concept and design phase of your workflows, that virtual reality has a significant value, right? We're getting in, we're identifying issues earlier on in that process, collaborating with each other, having markups, making notes, and then taking action from those notes. Now, for manufacturing, it's a little bit different, right? We know that there's design for manufacturing and assembly. So being able to walk your manufacturing teams exactly how this new system or component that you're building gets built is critical for them to really understand how that works. But also being able to then replicate your full manufacturing environment, being able to have all the different work cells and all the different lines with conveyors moving and simulating the process. It's important to really understanding, hey, if we're building a new manufacturing environment, I better make sure that it's got the best safety ratings, it's got the best performance and reliability, so that we can continue to have a good production output. You know, it also works at a deeper sense in saying, hey, you know what if we need to bring operators into the space? Maybe before the facility's ever built. Let's bring in operators, let's put them in a headset, let's show them what that job's gonna look like from an assembly standpoint. But even taking it further and saying, you know, let's take away the old process of training, which is typically PowerPoint and video, you know, and a notepad for these teams to ask questions. You know, let's try to add to that, right? How can we bring that in and say, okay, you're going to get familiar with the job first, then you're going to go into a proficiency phase. And instead of using a physical tool or a physical system to do that, right, do it virtually, right? We found that there's just as much value in doing that virtually as there would be in doing it in the physical realm, but having the ability to replicate that digital asset across all of your different teams that are doing training is a value. So you're practicing safety and procedure with these teams before they might go out and go do their job. You're certifying them and before they go out into the field and conduct that work. Okay, wonderful. So that's our webinar for today. Just wanted to take a moment just to say thank you for your time. I know that many of you have lots of busy schedules and things going on, so taking the time out of your schedule to come and join us today is very much appreciated. You know, before we start to really dig into next steps, you know, we want to give an opportunity to talk through some of the questions that you might have.
Hey, Michael, just a few questions here. Please note that some of the questions that are coming in, we will pick up after the webinar and during the week. So the first question is how do I get a hold of the HMD, the secure HMD?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So you know, currently, you know, you can work through Vertalis to do that. You know, if you're interested in evaluating the technology, you know, we have a few of these secure Vive Pros ready for review. So if you'd like to have that discussion, please know that you can reach out to me. We could schedule a 15-30-minute conversation just to host some more interpersonal conversation around that, and happy to support you in understanding what are your need requirements for the technology and how can we support you. It's a good question.
Yep. Another one about the recordings and slides. We will send the recordings and slides after the webinar. Straight after the webinar, you will get an email that shows the recording, so you can play and show your colleagues as well. Another question is, has any companies that you know are testing the HMD, the secure HMD?
Yeah, you know, it's this is the first instance where you should be hearing of this secure Vive Pro. So to answer that question, maybe David could answer that from his perspective. But you know, because it's so new, right? I think it's a wonderful opportunity to be a pioneer, right? To take it, bring it into your environments and say, hey, this has got value. We know it has value. How can we bring it in and start to evaluate it from a, you know, a security perspective? So I think the answer to your question is not really, right? It's a really good opportunity for your teams to start to consider that from this webinar.
Okay.
But just to further expand on that, so the HTC team, we are all working with a number of different secure partners, classified environments to give us feedback and do some testing. We have received authority to operate from 3 of those partners. But one thing that's kind of sidelined us a bit is the absence of secure labs that are open and operating due to the virus. So we had more kits available to do that, some initial evaluation and collect feedback, but sadly they're all closed at the moment.
Okay, cool. Here's a good one. Great webinar. We have a cave installed, but wanted to know if the secure headset could connect with the cave from, I think it's more of a remote working kind of environment. I think, Michael, if you could answer that one.
Yeah, is that the question? This question I'm seeing in the chat box here, Ketan? Or is that a different question?
That's a different question.
Yeah, can you retrofit a HTC Vive Pro I to become a secure version? I think that's a good question for David to answer.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm not familiar enough with the cave systems to know about integration opportunities.
Okay. Yeah, so I know that in the past we've taken, there was an older version of this secure HMD. It was a solution called the N-Visor, right? It was called the NVIS ST50, I believe. And it was back, if you were to see it, it looks like it's something from RoboCop, right? Very old school. But that utilized a magnetic tracking system, right? And so I believe it was called optimise. And that technology is just really out of date. So, and we were able to, from that technology perspective, be able to integrate that, retrofit that to the cave system that was specifically at that customer site. So I think that the answer is yes. I think currently, if we look at some of our customers who have classified spaces, who have caves in those spaces, they're looking at doing exactly that, and they have done it in the past, but has not yet been tested with this technology.
Cool. Michael, just that question you read out, it was part of a different question, so I'll read it out. So, no worries. It's, can you retrofit a HTC Vive Pro I to become a secure version?
Got it. No, that you can't do. So these are actually manufactured with these changes physically done to the board. I mean, there are certainly services that could do that, but that's not something that we're doing.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, I think we've hit the 30-minute mark. Some of the questions that have come in we'll pick up after the webinar. I would like to thank Michael Ewing for presenting the webinar, and David Myers from HTC, who has helped us build this webinar and did a great presentation today. So I thank you all, and I thank the HTC team for being involved as well. Thank you everyone for attending. I hope you have a lovely evening or afternoon or morning, depending where you are globally, and we'll speak soon. Cheers.
Thanks.
Thank you everyone.
Wonderful. Thank you everybody. Have a great week.